Merry meet everybody, Rowan here again. I thought I'd make a video of, stay there actually, I'm just going to get a drink, which I should have done before we started. Sorry. There we go. Right, I'm back. I am making up a protection herbal blend. Now this is either going to be, you can use it for as an incense, for anointing candles, for use in protection spell work. It's basically, as I say, it's a protection blend, so you can use it for whatever purposes that you require protection. So the first thing, which I'm just actually going to grind up in my little mortar and pestle, is pine resin. So I'm going to put a few bits of that. Let's move this out the way now. Put that there. A few bits of this. So that's pine resin that's going in first. There isn't really a measurement for this. I'm going by eye. I'm doing up a reasonably big batch. So I mean, it really depends on how much you think you're gonna use. There we go, I don't like to use a lot of resin, so although I just said I'm making up quite a big batch, believe it or not, for me, that's a lot of resin to use in a herbal blend. I like my herbal blend to be exactly that. I pop a bit of resin in there because I like the depth and the richness of the smoke that's created when you burn resins in an incense. So now the first thing that's going to go in the bottom of my, this is the bowl that I use for all of my herbal blends. It's always got residue. It's always cleansed afterwards, but there's always the residue of the actual herbs that have been used, which I like. So the first thing that's going to go in is some fine sea salt. I'm going to go with about that much. And that's really just, as a lot of people will use, as a good purifier, a good cleanser. So that goes in the bowl first. Then into that is the pine resin, which actually just needs a bit more of a bash. That's a bit better. Awesome. Okay. Now, next to go in is skullcap. Skullcap, one of the properties of skullcap is that it's good for trust building. I always find that people who come into your home should feel like they're in a place of safety. And that's about as much as I'm going to put in there. It looks like less because it's a big bowl. So that's skullcap that's gone in. Next is Feverview. Oh, bear with me. The Feverview, I mean, as I say, this is a protection herbal blend. So all of these herbs have protective properties. And this I'm going to grind a little bit because I just want to break it up just a tad. And all the time, if you want to grind things up, fab, you don't have to, you can pop things in just as they are. I like to grind because I just feel it infuses everything with your energies and it adds purpose. Not that it doesn't add purpose if you just pop it in the bowl and enchant, but for me personally, I like to push my energies in. So there we go, that's broken down the fever view a little. So in that goes. Next thing to go in is lavender. Again, it's a good protector, but also it's a herb of happiness and joy and healing, which for me are some really big key factors in protection. Then we have mugwort. For me, this is one of the biggest witches' herbs. I think it's one that we should all try and have in our herbal stores. It just has that, for me, like almost like a deep-rooted knowing sense of, yeah, this is working on your ass. And mugwort I always like to grind a little bit. I feel like it just releases the energies of the herb much more. It doesn't actually do much to physically break down the structure of the herb, but it does, for me, it just enables. It's a good enabler. So here we go, that's mugwort. And then we have mistletoe. This is a good return to sender herb for me. It's not one that I'd had in my collection before, but whenever I'd read anything on mistletoe or heard of anybody working with mistletoe, it always got quite a sort of, no, you can have that back feel to it, which for me is a big part of protection work. I like to break it up a little bit. As I said in my previous video, I'm just following instinct at the moment. Is that great need for protection, for drawing my loved ones close, for guarding against any physical, spiritual, emotional harm. I don't know if everybody else out there is having the same kind of vibe at the moment, or whether this is purely just a me thing at the moment. I'm just pushing that energy into that herb as we find it. Again, it doesn't do much to the physical structure of it, but it just, for me, just gives it that welly. So there we go, that's mistletoe in. And southernwood. Again, protection. And I'll sort of pop this in pinches. I love the feel of this southernwood. It's really quite mossy, which is beautiful. And again, as I say, I'm sorry, this is all by eye. I'm sure there are recipes out there that you can use that say a teaspoon of this, a tablespoon of that. Not in mine. And you're welcome to use this recipe, guys. This isn't, I wouldn't be sharing it if I didn't want people to feel they could use it. And next, going in is rue. Again, a really good protector. Also a healer. Good for healing. So you take that healing energy. I do think healing is a very good part of protection work. sometimes we also need a little bit of protection against ourselves if we've been hurt emotionally. A tendency can, for some people, a tendency can be to want to strike back, which is obviously harmful, and that's not good for anybody. So you want to heal those emotions. And the next and last herb to go in is yarrow. Yarrow is a good courage builder and an excellent herb in exorcisms and banishings. Courage, you want to stand strong in the face of trials and troubles that we face, and exorcism, just exercise that nasty energy, if any has managed to get through my plethora of protection works. Okay, so the next thing to go in is black salt. I'm literally just doing this by eye. Sprinkle that in, not a lot, just enough to darken. There we go, that's enough. And now all I'm going to do is work this with my hands, work my intent into this protection blend. That it will be filled with my energies and my intent of protection, of love, of healing, courage, and the building of trust within my home, within relationships. And just really infuse with my personal energies. So there we go. It looks small because it's in a massive bowl, but that's what the blend looks like as it sits. It's quite green. There we go. Now I'm just going to let that sit on my altar. I'm just going to move you. Whoops, excuse the hand. This is now, since my last video, I've done my full working for dedicating this altar to be my working altar, obviously because this is a new setup since the last little one. So now whenever I do any herbal blends or spell work, everything sits charged on that working pentacle in the middle. Here's a little offering bowl there. We've got salt, corn flour, and a little rose quartz chip, and that will sit there as an offering. So now just into the top of this, just while it sits and charges, I'm going to leave this overnight to charge, and then I will jar it up. Just in the top I'm going to sit a hematite, that's going to sit, and a gold stone. Now the hematite, it's a good protector, a good grounder, it's a good grounding stone, a healer, and the gold stone is good for opening up psychic channels, so that it opens up, it's to make one more receptive. And it's a good healer, and it's a marvellous protector. You see all the flicks and the flecks in that? They work as mirrors, effectively, to shoot back, just completely deflect any negative energies. So that will sit there in that blend, just to charge overnight, completely infuse and become more powerful as the protective blend. There we go. I'm going to pop the recipe, for want of a better word, for this blend in the description box below. Feel free to use, feel free to write it down, to make any additions or any subtractions, any changes that you want to it, or don't use it at all, just enjoy the video. Hope you enjoyed, guys, and I will see you soon. Love and light, and as always, blessed be.